It is another beautiful day. It's supposed to be another scorcher, so I'm not really looking forward to that. But we are in the shade this morning. It's early. Hopefully we'll be in the shade for a while. I don't know about you guys, but I am ready to get all these floor joists in, and crossing my fingers I can get some plywood, if not all the plywood. And Dustin may even show up today. Still waiting to find out if he's going to be here or not. But let's get this day started. Well, here is our handy dandy floor joist plan. As you guys can see, these 2x12 floor joists are going to go 16-inch on center. We do have 2 double joists to support the walls that are going to be erected for the steps, which serpentine around the outside of this addition. So we do have to pay close attention to that. And we also have a crawl space access that lands right at the 5-foot mark here, and it will be a 5-foot by 30, close to 40-inch opening. 3-foot 9.5 gets us to this joist here, which looks like that's 1, 2, 3 joists wider. So we're going to essentially be 3 feet 36 inches wide by 5 foot on that crawl space opening. I do not want to start taking my 16-inch dimensions off the castle. That we know is erratic, and it's really hard to get any set points. So we're going to pull our 16s off of this inside corner right here, because we know, as you guys have seen on previous videos, we did the 3, 4, 5 triangle, we did the 6, 8, 10 triangle, and we went all the way up to 16 feet. So this is really square, really straight, really set. So that's going to be our best point to pull our 16s from. We'll pull our 16s down through there, show you guys that on video. But I want everyone to understand, and there's a lot of comments to this also, these boards are going to have a crown to them. And typically what that means is your left corner and your right corner are going to be dead nuts, but your center might be a little high. So the way that I like to do this, you see I have this one in place already. That was the outside board. I was wanting to see how close I could get to the castle. We're going to have to do some blocking on the back side to close off that gap. That is not a big deal. Not concerned about that one bit. However, the brackets are not as tall as the 2x12s. You can see it right over here in this corner. You can see how much lower that bracket is than the top of the 2x12. So you can't just put these brackets from bottom to top. You really can't do that. If you did, your floor system, if you ran all your brackets perfect along the bottom of that board, your floor system will get high in the middle and low on the outside edges. So what we have to do is chalk us a line. We'll install the outside corner here, the first floor joist, which is going to be 16 inches over. I believe we got to confirm that because we have a crawl space opening. And then we'll chalk it from there to the top of that bracket. So now we know the top of bracket is the exact same all the way across. It's on a perfectly level plane. And we just slam those brackets in both sides, and then we can start dropping the 2x12s in. So let's get our dimension. And oh, by the way, I'm not allowed to say inshore, ashore, any of that stuff, because people are going to start drinking games, because apparently I say that word a lot, which I find absolutely hilarious. So thank you for putting that in the comments, because if I can create a drinking game, I'm all about it. That would actually be fun. So maybe one of these days we'll just do a replay of videos and just constantly put that in there so that people can have some fun time with some drinking. I don't care if it's just drinking water, but you understand, it's still a drinking game. So let's get this one here established. Let's get this one here established, and then we'll be able to hold at the top of that bracket, hold at the top of that bracket, pop us a line, and install all of our brackets. You did decide to show up. Everybody's been worried about you. Where's Dustin? Where's Dustin? I said, he's busy. He's busy.
Yeah, you look pretty sad on that last one. Thought I better come back.
Man, I'm here to tell you, last Friday was a rough day. I left here. Someone said heat exhaustion on one of the comments. I did hydrate. I already have us 2 bottles of water sitting right out here, one for each of us.
Watching it.
Right?
Yeah.
Man, I got home. I'm here to tell you, there was one section of me that was not wet, and it was from my knees to the top of my socks. Everything else, I could wring my hat out. I wrung my shirt out, and my pants were soaked to my knees. It was a rough day. But look what all we got done. Huh? We got all the strapping off of it, and there was a whole lot of comments. I gotta cover this before we get into the details of how we're gonna lay this out. It looks to us as though you could have put the floor joist system in before you poured the wall. That comment came a lot, and it's like, hey, you know what? That's a great thought. Here's the problem. If we had all these brackets, all these joist hangers in place, and all the 2x12s nailed, screwed, whatever, that's all great, fine, and dandy. But if we had this wall move when the concrete was going in the hole, how are you going to make an adjustment? You can't.
But would you need to?
The hope.
Right.
At that point in time, you're crossing your fingers going, man, I really hope I don't need to make an adjustment. I get it. It's extra work to do what I did, to strap it, to support it, to stiffen it up. But at least I could have came in here and removed the screw.
Yeah.
Pushed on the wall if we needed to, and re-screwed it off to ensure it was nice, straight, and true. Did we have to make any adjustments? No, because our strapping was proper.
Yeah.
But if the floor system was in, there was no adjustment to be made. It was a hope and a prayer that it stayed put.
That's definitely a good thought, though.
It is a good thought, and I'm not saying it's a bad thought, because hey, you know what? You don't ever have to take it back off, but boy, if you had to make that adjustment, oh my gosh. If you ended up with a crooked wall, it's way worse than having to do that work, take that work off to then install your floor system. I chose the least evil. I did put that in a comment too. When you do taller walls, you don't have all that. And you guys, that's coming. The next is 11-foot tall wall, which then allows us to use the plumb wall braces. So you don't have to have near the amount of internal structure like we had the 2x12 spanning across, which is a great idea.
And I think we're going to have to get that hole cut, because how else are we going to get in here once we start stacking this 11-foot wall?
Well, let's think about that, Dustin. Isn't there a door in the 11-foot tall wall?
There needs to be one.
Wait a minute. There's no rebar right here. For what reason?
Yeah, I was thinking out loud.
Yeah. Sometimes our mind gets ahead of us, but you're correct. Why do we not have an access? We do have an access.
So that gets framed in as we go then?
As we stack the ICF, the doorway will only be closed for 2 courses to get everything set, and then we'll cut that opening out, and then we will stack the ICF up to the top of the door, and then we'll span over top of it and come down, and we'll go ahead and frame that in with treated 2x12s.
See, and this stuff I'm eager to learn, like how that...
Absolutely. And think about it. We're going to have plywood in here.
No, that's going to be nice.
So you're not actually working on 11 plus 3.
Yeah.
You're going to be working from the plywood.
Yeah, that'd be way better.
So there was another comment. I know we're talking a lot this morning, but we got to get across these questions and comments. You need a pull ladder. Yeah, that'd be great for only what I did last Friday and what we're doing today. After that, we're going to put a set of steps right here, screw it to the studs.
Ooh, nice.
And then all we got to do is walk up a set of steps, and we're on a nice flat 3/4 inch tongue and groove plywood floor the entire time we're working on the next ICF. The hardest part of the next portion is where that common is. We're gonna have another common, so we gotta get on a ladder and strap it on the outside. But most of our work is gonna be from in here off the subfloor, or once the braces are installed, the walk board that goes on the braces.
So after this, we're gonna need a lift back out of here. Is that getting tuned up, by the way?
We won't need the lift.
Huh?
Well, all you need is a ladder. Now, once we do the next level. Yeah. So I bought a scanner. You asked if the lift's going to be tuned up. I bought a scanner, and maybe it's just because I'm not a mechanic. I know just enough to get myself in major trouble.
Yeah, you're barely a carpenter.
Barely a carpenter. Barely an ICF guy. I'm just crazy enough to just go for it, right? So I bought a scanner, and it spit some codes out. But this scanner, supposedly you can go in and select certain things. Well, I couldn't get it to do none of that. So I called old DP up, who is a mechanic.
That's true, yeah.
And I said, hey man, maybe this is just me, but this scanner, it's like, it reads the stuff off and I'm writing it and it just keeps on passing codes by. Speed sensor. We had to replace the speed sensor, the wiring for it, very first thing. So I'm beginning to wonder if that speed sensor, it clocks the flywheel, if you will, okay? Is it dirty? Because if it's saying you have speed and you don't have speed, it's going to shut the machine off. Because the wiring was shutting the machine off before. Same situation, just be moving along a bit. So I think I'm going to take that out. There's got to be a depth gauge to that speed sensor also that says I have to be this close to the flywheel or else. We didn't check none of that. We just rewired it.
Yeah.
So that's step number one. Everything else, it was like air filter bypassed, which it's not. The sensor's probably just not there anymore. And then it had something about speed control, which is up on the joystick.
Yeah.
I still don't think that's going to cause it to die. But that speed sensor,
That makes sense.
I'm pretty confident that's the route we're headed down, and we'll figure that out. But yes, after this 11-foot section, and we do the second 11-foot section for all the outside strapping, the man lift is going to come in majorly handy, and we can still sneak it up in on this back side.
Yeah, for now.
So Dustin, I had a whole lot of comments.
Yeah.
Why ICF? Had a few comments. Here's how we do it over in Europe. There's no way that's efficient or effective. Okay. Here's my why ICF. Two guys did this. What I see as the benefit is the insulation factor, the safety, and the actual structure. That's 6 inches of concrete with rebar on a 12-inch grid horizontally, and then every 3 feet vertically. It can't go nowhere. Period.
I seen one comment where he was talking about they put airbags in here or something.
Yeah,
You make like a zipper.
to create a keyway. So if you look at the top of that masonry door right there,
Yeah.
there's one in the center that's the keyway that ties everything together, right? So what they're saying is it creates a void in the concrete that goes down, over, and up,
So it like locks
right?
it in. Yeah.
Well, that's actually what these vertical rebars for. Now, if I poured this wall all the way to the top, I agree, you need something to get the two tied together. We are 2 inches down, 1.5 for sure. So our cold joint is below the top of the surface, and we have vertical rebar every 3 feet. So essentially what the keyway is for, if you can hold that camera there, if you put a cold joint together and you have a seismic event, meaning an earthquake, right?
Right.
Ground starts doing this now, it shakes all over the place. You don't want your two cold joints doing this.
Yeah.
Hence, keyway in the comments, right?
Yep.
Well, you lower that wall below the ICF right here, lower it down 1.5 inches, put your vertical rebar in. Now your cold joint is 1.5 inches below your seam of your ICF, and your vertical rebar comes up every 3 feet, so it can't do this anymore. Your cold joint no longer can shift because of this and because of this lip. So we create the keyway by lowering the concrete from the top of the ICF.
That makes sense.
And then you throw your vertical rebar in, so now it can't go anyway. And that's why you see they're every 3 feet. And that's also why you see they're not shorties. There's 18 inches of rebar coming out of there.
Yep.
Now think about that, 18 inches of rebar. What did I say the horizontal grid was? 12.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, where's 12? So now you're also going to have a horizontal piece of rebar in the first course of the next wall that hits about right here.
Yep.
On all of this vertical rebar. And then you send an 11-foot tall piece of vertical rebar in between all those horizontals.
Yeah.
So now you have two verticals and all the horizontals tying everything together, and you lowered your concrete below the top of the ICF.
That makes sense. So there's more than one way to milk a cat? Or
Absolutely. Some people call it skinning.
Oh
the
yeah,
cat.
yeah. That's how it goes.
But back to why ICF. Two guys did this. We're working on this 1 day a week. 1 day a week.
Yeah.
Okay?
We're not putting in the hours we did.
And it was 2 weeks to get the footers poured, get the ICF stacked and poured.
Yeah.
2 working days.
Yeah.
Okay? Yes, we had to strap it up, so we had a third. All right? But why ICF? Your insulation's already here. You have 3 inches of styrofoam. You have 6 inches of concrete and 3 inches of styrofoam, right? You also have your studs. It's pre-framed. You do no framing on this outside wall. Once it's poured, once it's cured, you screw your drywall right to the ICF, nail your siding off, put your cladding, whatever you're gonna put on the outside, go straight to the studs. You don't have to frame up anything except interior walls. So the efficiency factor isn't just installing the ICF, it's everything after for finish work. You have nothing to do. Whereas if you pour this stem wall and you don't backfill all of it, and you need siding on it, well, now you have to strip it with fir strips, 1x, to hang your siding on. Oh wait, it's not insulated. So now you gotta come in here and you gotta spray that entire wall with insulation to ensure that you have a thermal break.
Yeah.
I have 2 thermal breaks. Stack it up like Legos, pour the concrete, make sure the rebar's at the proper schedule. Oh, that's right, MST Bar has engineers that tell us what that schedule needs to be. Yeah, I have experience in ICF, so I know what it needs to be. But you're done.
Yeah.
You're literally, this can be a bombshell bunker if you don't put windows in it. I live in an ICF house. When the tornado warning phone's going off, I go sit right next to my bay window in my easy chair and I watch the storm roll through because I'm not worried about it. Worst case scenario is gonna suck me out the window. Yeah. Other than that, this ain't going nowhere. Look it up, folks. Look at the tornadoes that just went through Kentucky, what, 5 years ago? And then they just had some, what, a year ago?
Yeah,
the only houses that are still standing, yeah, they don't have siding on them anymore and they probably don't have shingles on them anymore, but the ICF is just there. 100% structure still in place.
Yeah.
That's my why ICF. Now I'm gonna get off my soapbox because I love the product. I wouldn't build any other way. And we're gonna give them some details about some floor joists.
Nice. Killing more than one cat with a stone or something.
Okay, I'm off my soapbox. It's time to lay out some floor joists. It appears as though the print was made, well now I turned it backwards for you guys. The print was made 16-inch centers coming out. I don't trust the Castle. It's not a good set point. This is a good set point. I explained to them earlier, we're nice, square, straight, and plumb. So we're gonna go 16 from this inside corner out, but we do have 2 very important areas that we have to double our joists. And the reason for that is the walls up top. I explained that earlier as well. But I want everybody, I am not a carpenter. I just know enough to be dangerous. Most people say, your floor joist 16-inch centers, 16-inch centers, 16-inch centers. Well, if you come over here and you mark 16, that's really your center, but it's really not the edge of your board. So if you're trying to get the edge of your board at the proper location, you either got to go forward 3/4 or you got to go back 3/4. Well, which makes the most sense, right? Going back 3/4. So realistically, you mark it at 15 1/4 because your board is 1.5 inches thick. That's why your 3/4 is back. So now if you go forward 3/4, I guarantee if I measure from that line to that line, it's 1.5 inches, right? Right. But what you want to create is a straight line for the edge of your board. And you put the X on the side that the 16 inches on, so that you know that's your center and your board runs that way. When you're framing something up, you have to know what the next step is going to be. I can put these on 16-inch centers all day long, but if I don't back it up 3/4, when it really matters, if you want to come around this way, is when you get all the way over here at the 8 foot. Okay? Why does 8 foot matter? We're putting tongue and groove OSB, I almost said plywood, on these floor joists, right? Run this way, so we'll run our plywood this way. Can we do it the other way and run 8 foot? Yes, we can, but this is 20 by 20. It doesn't matter. It's 6 potato, 6 1/2 dozen, however you want to say it. But what really matters is this 8-foot mark. If you were to mark that, again, it's a 16-inch center. All the red places on the tape measure tells you that you're at 16, okay? If you were to put your board at the 8-foot mark and run your 1.5 inches over here, this piece of plywood would not have anything to set on. So you have to back it up 3/4 of an inch so that you have 3/4 of an inch of board that this sheet sets on and 3/4 of an inch of board that this next sheet sets on. So essentially your splice ends up in the center of your 2x12.
Why don't you just put 2 joists there?
Well, that'd be wasteful. Now over here we put the 2 joists because we have a wall framed up on top of it and we want to support that wall better.
Oh.
So that's why we put 2 joists together. And that will become a visual here very shortly. So where I'm going to lay out these 16-inch centers, lay out those 16-inch centers. We'll throw all the brackets on, and then essentially all I have to do is cut a 2x12, bring it over, slide it down into brackets, and nail it off.
So are we putting a beam up from that concrete to those beefed up joists that we're putting in?
We will frame a wall. It's not going to be a beam. I'm just going to frame a short wall up.
And put it underneath of the...
Put it underneath those double joists. Because the main wall
really
that
beefy.
matters is the center wall to those steps. This ICF outside wall,
Plenty stout.
this one on the inside really doesn't carry much of the load. It's that center one
Yep.
that carries most of the load. So we will double joist it at the bottom, and I'll frame a wall up underneath of that double joist on top of this footer. So essentially you only have...
That's going to be stout.
You'll only have 28 inches of double beam that is not supported by a wall. And this is a hallway. And this is going to be a shower. So the center steps wall doesn't go all the way to the ends, which is why we don't have to frame it all the way to the ends. All right, let's get some 16-inch centers laid out.
All right.
You want to tell them what I did, or do you want me to tell them?
Goat ropings.
Hey, were you here that day?
No.
Not
What
until
happened?
the
I mean,
concrete
by
showed up. So I'm out here by myself trying to get all this laid out. You guys remember me talking about making sure your penetration's in before you pour. Well, here's the other thing you got to do. I will admit, when you're working with ICF, this is really how I should have pulled that dimension. Hook the outside. What Matt Parr did, since he was here by himself, you can actually see the little crack in there. I shoved my tape measure in the ICF to hold it for me, and I come over here and I said, hey, I want my, and yes, everybody with the stackable dryer comments, washer and dryer in here, that's the plan. I was thinking about separating them and having a workstation in between, but you know, this isn't going to be an actual home that I live in every single day. So stackable washer and dryer is going to be fine. But I wanted my dryer vent to shoot out and go into this 2x4 wall, go down, and then 90 over and come all the way across. Well, I said, that is 8'2". Guess what that measurement is? 8 feet.
And look, hold on, I want to show them this.
Yeah, so if I hold you here,
Where you would have went.
put the 8'2" mark on the wall with the proper side of the pencil.
You can get more center between them joists.
I mean,
That would have been perfect.
the print was correct, but me being here by myself, essentially I added a foot because I didn't go from the outside of the wall. Daggone it!
The goat, the roper.
I'm the roper, that's the goat. But we have a solution. We do need this floor joist because this hits 8 foot and this is where our joint's going to be. So we're going to take a 2x4 and hold it up off that pipe because it does get warm. We're going to screw it to the wall, and then we're going to do 2 legs down to the footer on both sides to create a bridge.
And carry that load.
To carry this load. And then I'll 45 the pipe out to get over to the cavity I'm supposed to be in. And then 45 again, and then do my 90s over there. And there is code to this, by the way. every 90 that you put in rigid pipe is a 5-foot deduction. I have 18 feet essentially that I am putting pipe in here, and I have 4 feet to spare before I am too far of a run. So I'm gonna have 2 feet taken off by the 45.
I think I got it drawn up here. You go like this, and then...
Yeah, but you got it backwards. You need to turn it.
Yeah.
No matter how you turn it, you have it drawn backwards, because we're bringing the pipe towards me, not away from me.
Right. You got it.
So you'd have to flip the board over, but yeah, it's gonna come out 45, 45 again. But I still meet code, but now I'm only meeting it by 1 foot instead of 4 or 5 feet, so. Oh well, hey.
You ain't screwing up, you ain't doing nothing.
Hey, not only is the castle crazy off, this guy's crazy off. So anyway, let's get this sucker transferred out. We'll get our chalk line over there. Oh yeah, we did chalk over here. You guys can see that's to the top of that bracket. That's where the top of each of the joist hangers are gonna go. That chalk line there, I don't know if you can see it because of the sun, but that chalk line right there on that mark, and the bracket will run this way. Frustrations. Anyway, it is what it is. We'll fix it. All right, so all the joist brackets are on. Joist hangers. Yes, they look a little crazy. This is how we do it, right? Right, wrong, or indifferent, this is how we do it. So we give ourselves a square line, which you can see right here, off of that 3/4 back from 16-inch center. That ensures our bracket is straight. We put nails in one side, 2 nails. We then bring our boards in, and we close this off against the board and then nail it off. That way, we're not sitting here measuring 1.5 inches, put a nail in it, oh crap, it moved. No, you just slam and run. One side set, guaranteed right, only 2 nails in it. Yes, we'll nail it off all the way, but this gets us started, and as we put the boards in, we'll put the rest of the nails in. I went ahead and cut that 2x12. I think it's ready. 2 times. I think it's ready. The only reason why we had to cut it 3 times is because the factory end was way off square. I mean, way off square. So I think it's going to be smartest to start at the castle and work our way out, even though we pulled our dimensions from the outside corner and worked our way in. That way we're not closing ourselves off and getting tighter against the castle. Make sense? Let's do it. Okay, well, we lost Dustin for the rest of the day. That's all right. Having him for half a day was absolutely great. As you can see, we've got several floor joists in. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to go, and then things start to get more interesting because we have the crawl space access. We do have double joists going here, and we have double joists going here for the wall. I'm going to put those in probably right now to make sure I'm not crawling over a whole bunch of joists. We thought maybe it was this one, so I went ahead and measured it off, and it is not. We've got that spot and we've got that spot, and we'll have 2 other spots over there as well. But here's how we mitigated our issue with our dryer vent. I will throw a 45 on here and it'll come out, and then I can get into this pocket, because this is where the second double joist lands, and that's the cavity that I would like to come just on the other side of that and come through the floor with the dryer vent, and then come in and sneak that vent in this pocket here. So yep, I'm a few inches off, but we knew that already, and here we are. But this is the prime opportunity. I forgot to buy double joist hangers, which essentially means you can put 2 joists in 1 hanger. I forgot those. There's a supplier right across the river, about 10 minutes away. It's lunchtime anyhow. We're gonna go grab 4 double joist hangers, and maybe actually some more. Got to figure out how I've got to frame the access to the crawl space, so I might need to get more than that. But we're gonna go get some double joist hangers, grab some lunch, and we'll be back. Okay, we got back from lunch. We got the supplies we needed. Some of you might be asking yourself, he keeps saying double joist hanger, double bracket, what does that mean? So here's the difference. They go at the exact same level on the bottom, but you can see this is an 1.5 inch gap. I went ahead and nailed this one off so you guys could see it. This is an 1.5 inch gap. This is a 3 inch gap. So essentially the double joist hanger is just that. You can put 2 joists in 1 hanger. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody. Put you guys back on time lapse, get the rest of these joists in. And it's gonna be a little bit slower work because, well, we're getting to where we've got 2 joists. We've got another double joist right here. You can see the number 2 right there below that big X. That's another double joist. And then we've also got the crawl space access that takes 2 joists, headers if you will. So we're gonna go ahead and put the 20-foot long, if you will, joist in here, but then I'll mark out my opening and cut it while those boards are in place, and get my double header put on there, get my double brackets put on, etc., etc. You'll see that play out here in time lapse, but let's get this going. So what you guys are going to see here, it's not a requirement, but I prefer to do it. I'm screwing together the double joist on top and on bottom. Well, I know you guys have been on time lapse for quite a while. Sorry about that. I just got my head down and getting these floor joists in. As you can see, we're all the way down. We've got the crawl space opening framed in. We've got one short one there and one medium one there. And this sucker, the floor will be framed. I don't know if I have enough energy in me to start putting plywood down today, but we'll see. Maybe I can talk the kids into coming back tomorrow if all else fails. But we're going to get the last two joists in, and then I will explain the thought process to everything else. Well, there you have it. All the floor joists are in place. We've got our crawl space opening framed in. That'll be under the steps that go up this direction. The entrance to the steps will be in here, which is why this double joist and this double joist is here. So essentially in between the two double joists is the steps coming up. Then you'll turn and you go up again and get up here to that 11-foot tall next level. I definitely don't think I have enough steam. It's already 5 o'clock. I don't think I have enough steam to put any plywood down. So we're gonna call it a day, make a smart decision, and hopefully get back here tomorrow morning. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, like, comment, subscribe.